right, everybody. I am Jules Thought, and today is March the 31st, 2023. All I got to say is thank God it is Friday because we needed Friday. And somehow I like to think that Friday needs us. Okay. Now then, so there was an update on the Sarah Boone case today. And if you let me share this with you 1 minute. Present, share screen. Hang on, almost there, people. Hold your horses. And there you go. All right. So here is Sarah. And, hopefully, I guess I better move must be an overlay. Hold on. There you go. Okay. So there is Sarah. Hi, Steffi G. Welcome. Hey, Texas Lassie. How are y'all doing? Okay, so this is Sarah Boone now, and as you guys remember, so this case is happening in Florida, and Sarah Boone is the lady who, well, she zipped her boyfriend into a suitcase, and this was on a night when they were drinking, and I think I think both Sarah and the boyfriend both had some alcohol problems. But nevertheless, to make a long story short, she zipped him inside this suitcase. And the next morning, when she woke up, well, he was in the suitcase and he was dead. So, Sarah Boone, the lady on the screen, is 42 years old, and her boyfriend also was 42. His name was Jorge Torres Jr. So, her criminal defense attorney is Mark Najame, not Mark Najame. And he acknowledges that even though they're going to trial, that it will be a pretty tough road. Excuse me. So it appears that they are going to make an attempt to use the battered women's syndrome or battered spouse syndrome as their defense. So some of the things that some of the experts have said about this as a defense would be that not only do you have to show that this abuse occurred, but you do have to be able to prove that it was perpetual, that it was ongoing, and that it escalated to a point that the spouse acts out. There are multiple types of violence, and one particular type of violence is where someone has taken so much abuse and it goes on and it goes on and goes on, and eventually they lash out. They themselves act violent. It's called reactive violence, but they act out and they react. And a lot of times we'll see this in the case of like physical abuse. And then finally, the victim, the real victim, finally acts out and shoots and kills the person that's been hurting them. So reactive violence is something that a lot of people, they don't want to acknowledge, especially the more manipulative among us. They will abuse and abuse and abuse and abuse and abuse. A lot of bullies will do this. They'll bully, 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 bully. And then when finally the victim has simply had enough, and then they respond in a way that may be more violent or more egregious, then the original bully, grabs her smelling salts and says, "Oh my gosh, I've been bullied by you. You're a terrible person." But no, you've been spending years before bullying others until finally the dam breaks and it comes back on you. And so that's sort of, in a very simplistic nutshell, that's sort of what her Sarah Boone's attorney is informing the court, that they want to use this battered spouse or battered woman's syndrome and make this case. Now, they had a hearing, which you're looking at the the we're fixing to watch the hearing, and it is it is only about 10 minutes long, and so I'll be quiet and we'll listen.
All right, let's go ahead and call up Miss Boone's case.
State of Florida versus Sarah Boone, 2020 CF 2603. State of Florida.
Andy Cacciatore on behalf of the state.
Defense.
Frank Bankowitz.
Let's go ahead and swear Miss Boone in.
May you please raise your right hand to be sworn in.
She can't
You
raise her
solemnly swear
hand.
affirm that the testimony you shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Morning, ma'am. Tell me your name and your date of birth.
Sarah Boone, October 10th, 1977.
All right, we're here for pretrial conference today. Mr. Cacciatore, where do you stand in preparing to proceed forward to trial?
State's ready, Your Honor.
Mr. Bankwitz, where do you?
It's a bit surprising to see her. She seems like she's aged quite a bit. She's only like 42, I think. 42 years old. So yeah, she's definitely aged a little bit. I thought she might actually look a little more healthy because she hasn't really had access to all that alcohol. But you know, I don't know though. It's be tough to be in jail. Let's be honest.
Stand in regards to preparing
I'm
for
sorry, the
trial.
defense is not ready. We're requesting a continuance. We are having difficult time finding an expert who's willing to work for the JAC rates. And so I'm still it's an essential part of the case, basically.
Yes,
It's
big
never
ups.
been initiated before by any of the prior attorneys that I'm aware of.
Okay, so the whole point of this hearing, her attorney said, oops, sorry about that, y'all. Her attorney says, hey, you guys, we have our rates that we're able to give to our expert witnesses. And I believe he says that they have spoken to 3 expert witnesses in this area of battered women's syndrome. And all 3 have said, no, thank you. Now, he claims, and I'm not sure where I am in this. Let's see.
In this potential defense, if we picked a jury in one day, the state
Right
presented
here,
a case
they're
in
just
2.5
talking about how
days.
long it's going to last.
In Lake County.
Well, let's do this. I want to set it for that date.
For July.
That way you'll have a much better idea of what's actually happening on your death penalty case in Lake County. I understand that those are
That's an unrelated
they're
case.
priority
this one.
cases, but I also know that they're the cases where if a problem comes up, no matter what a judge has said before.
Okay, so I'm not gonna. It's a little boring. It's not boring. It's an important trial, but basically, what's being said here in this hearing, and I'll put the link in the description. So those of you that want to watch the whole hearing, it's really not very long, but I wanted to just kind of give you a picture of what was going on. But basically, what they're saying is he said, I want to use this particular defense. I've got to have an expert witness. I've talked to 3 people that might be described as expert witnesses in this area, and they've all said thanks, but no thanks. And he's a bit wishy-washy on that. Did the expert witnesses, did they say no thank you because they weren't getting paid enough money? Or are they saying no thank you because they don't want to be put into the position of not telling the truth? Right? I mean, we've heard this term. There's this term that comes up every now and then related to expert witnesses. The term court, pardon me for using this word, but court whore, where a doctor or somebody, as long as you pay them the right amount of money, they're willing to say whatever the defense or the prosecutors want them to say, and they can manipulate the knowledge base to account for that. But a principled, ethical professional is not going to do that. And it's been my experience that people that work in, oh, hold on a minute, my birds are going crazy. people that work in the field of domestic violence and such, they're not really willing to go out on a limb and just capitalize, make a bunch of money, and say something that is inconsistent with the research and the best practices standards for this area of domestic violence. So the fact that he's spoken with 3 makes me think that no, they're not going to testify. It will be too difficult where their own ethics are concerned. It'll be too difficult to stand up in court and make a case for, oh yes, this is an abused woman and she lashed out, at the last minute at her abuser, because that's kind of not what it looks like. The recordings, the things that she typed on her phone that night, it really looks like he was the subject of abuse, that the man who died is actually the victim of Sarah Boone and her animosity and her anger. She's taunting him, she's teasing him, she's, a little rough, to hurt him. Why would it, if you're an expert, if you're a person who's dedicated their life to helping people in domestic violence situations, why would you say, okay, well, give me more money than I would normally make, and then I'm willing to say whatever you want, including to compromise my integrity? And really and truly, it's hard to find a professional that's willing to do that, unless it's legitimately an area of gray, that there's some study there that may have a merit. It is very difficult, and it has been my experience. People that work in domestic violence, it's something that is near and dear to their heart. They've chosen that area because they're committed to helping the victims, right? They're committed to families, of stopping the cycle of violence. So it's just going to be really hard to find one of those people willing to say something for cash. And I wonder if that might be a little more in line. I mean, come on, this is Orange County. They've got plenty of professionals that testify in court all day long about all kinds of things. They're paying enough money, or they wouldn't be able to have court. So I think it might be something a little more that, based on the evidence that they're looking at, this doesn't really look like a domestic violence situation where the defendant was brutalized for years and years and then finally strikes out. It just doesn't look that way. All right. Now that we got a JCS on this, I'm going to be on this trial. Welcome, this inhuman place. All right. So I just kind of want to do an update. They're moving it to July of this year, and this is to give give Sarah Boone's attorney time to try to locate a professional who will testify, or perhaps to amend her strategy. Maybe I'm not sure, but July. This is one of those cases, very interesting and unusual, and they have kicked it down the road over and over and over. So when it finally comes up to trial, we shall cover it, and at that point it will be interesting. But till now, it's now July. All right. Okay, I just wanted to do a quick update. I hope all of you are doing well. It's good to see you, Diamond Paw. Hey, Big Ups, Inhuman Place, Texas Lassie, Steffi, welcome everybody. All right, I'll probably be back later on. I'm going to do a bit of a bigger live related to Lori Vallow and the LDS Church. So it'll be one of those couple of hour long things. How can she try to develop a strategy with the phone video? Well, that's my point. In Human Place, it's a bit hard to find a professional for this idea of battered woman's syndrome with that phone video. Very difficult, right? You've seen it. You've seen it. Yeah, it's hard to do. All right, everybody. Y'all have a wonderful evening, afternoon. I'll be back later tonight. We'll do some talking about the LDS the whole magic show that now they don't seem to want to acknowledge. All right. Other than that, I hope you guys have a wonderful dinner and I'll be back.